Oh, Deluded, I'm back again. I've got some things to speak about very briefly. I want to talk about Joe Willock very quickly. Let me make myself comfortable. We're supposed to have a team meeting, but I'm taking that risk. But like I said, I want to offer some brief thoughts about Joe Willock. I want to talk about, well, let me just crack on, man. Really, Joe Willock is the reason I'm here, but I've seen a couple other things to speak about. The first one, now it's come out of the Mirror, so make of that what you will, and I believe John Cross in particular, but Arsenal have been linked with Carlos Soler. Now it's easy to make that link. We've been linked with him before, where he's one of them players we're always linked with. Allegedly Emery wanted him. Obviously with Arteta being Spanish and us needing midfielders of his sort of more technical based midfielders, it's easy to invent this story. I would love Carlos Soler, man. I think his name is Carlos, but he's someone I've watched at youth level for Spain, someone I've made videos before. He actually can play out wide, but it's more of a, you know, when it's an inverted wide sort of role. For me, I think he could develop into a deep lying playmaker. I think he's shown a willingness to have an engine and get into the final third of the opposition. The thing I love the most about him is his passing range. I do think we need someone who is box to box. Equally, we need a deep lying playmaker, and he fits that box. These lot are smoking a zoot and they can't even hold it. Can't even hold it, amateurs. But yeah, I would take him. We need that. I mean, he's in his early 20s, I'm pretty sure. It's all up our street, people. That is up our street. Whether the interest is legit, I don't know. Let me type in on let me type in on Google his statistics. Admittedly, I don't know how many goals and assists he's got, but I would take him in a heartbeat. He probably is going to cost 50 million or so. I don't know how staggered payments and all them things work, but he's probably going to cost Arsenal a pretty penny, people. Yeah, he's 23, so he's in his early 20s, you know. He's got 140 million release clause. I don't think Arsenal are going to pay that, but he is someone I would like, people, man. I think he's a baller. Surprised he's still at Valencia, really. I wouldn't say he's had a real, for me anyway, standout season where you're like, whoa sort of thing, but he's always been a decent little good player. He's contracted until 2023. He's played 15 games this season, 2 goals, so he's not someone that's going to get you goals and assists. But he is someone I think can help us dictate the tempo of the game. Someone that wants the ball, wants to create, wants to, you know, be a creative sort of trailblazer in the side. I think he can really develop into a decent midfield, deep lying playmaker. He's made 23 appearances, getting 3 goals. He's got no assists for this campaign, and he's got 4 yellow cards. I'm trying to find his statistics in general for Valencia. He's played 137 times. He's got 11 goals and 17 assists. In 102 La Liga appearances, 8 goals, 12 assists. So in terms of goals and assists, he's not necessarily the creative player that's going to make the difference, but we all know you can be creative beyond stats. Like, I'm sure he would like to be like his countrymen, but I'm pretty sure Iniesta didn't have the most generous of stats. Zidane at a time as well. But I think he's someone that would help us. Obviously, I wouldn't want to. He's not my sort of right winger. He tries to play very inverted and he wants to come inside, but he could give us options. And obviously, if he's 23, Torreira's 24, Tierney's what, 22, 23. Bellerin's 24, Maitland-Niles, Nelson, Saka, all these, Guendouzi, all of these regular squad players, backup, whatever, they're all quite young, and that's what we need. It carries resale value, it carries the youthfulness to be able to learn the tactics, and also longevity factor, because you can teach an old dog new tricks like Mustafi's showing, but the younger players are more impressionable depending on how you go about it, and obviously they've got evidently age on their side, people, as you lot know. So hopefully them links are legit, but if you read into what the Mirror is saying, then you're going to be in for a surprise, in my opinion, because you just know it's going to be nonsense, people. Before I continue, I think Arsenal's under-18s in the FA Youth Cup have been drawn away to Blackburn Rovers, and our former young player Malcolm Ebowe is signed for Rangers as a scholar, and I assume there's a pro deal there. Hopefully that turns into something positive for him and he can progress in his career as much as he can. Now, Willian of Chelsea, I think he's a decent player. His stats are not the best, but how long is it before Arsenal is linked with him? I say that because you look at this. First and foremost, I believe he's part of the agency that's owned by Kaya Jarobkin, who is the agent of Edu as well, and also helped bring Luiz. And we've heard a lot about Raul Sanllehi leveraging these contacts to get people. You've heard that about Suarez, Luiz. There's been a couple other players as well. So we don't know. But if I see it, he's 31. You know, he's spoken of wanting to stay in London. I think he'll entertain Barcelona things, but it seems like his wife, footballers go where their wives want to go, really. Women run the world. Behind every successful male, 9 times out of 10 is a female, and she's probably the one that calls the shots. Not deluded though, man, a boss. another advertisement for the Barbies and that. If you watch DG and you know you're branding and lighty and all them things, they hit me up. Obviously I don't discriminate and that, but you know my thing. But moving away from that, how long before we're not seriously linked with Willian? Apparently there's been talk of a 3-year deal at Chelsea. They won't give him that, so like Pedro, sorry, he'll probably keep it moving at the end of the season. And I mean, if at 31, you can't blame him for wanting a 3-year deal. If he can get a 3-year deal somewhere on respectable wages, he's done his thing, really. Because you shouldn't be trying to give him one. If I'm a club, I'm trying to give him a 1-year deal, 2-year max, maybe 1 year with an option of another. But him himself has said, if you ask my wife if she wants to leave London, she'll say no. My daughters feel the same way. Of course, Brazil is Brazil, right? It's our home, our culture. We always feel good when we go there on holiday and see family and friends. But London is my second home. I am now a British citizen. London is where I want to stay. This is where my family, my church are. I want my daughters to grow up here. Whenever I get back to the dressing room, I want to keep seeing their messages. I want to keep hearing their love and encouragement. So, you know, and this is, especially in light of Brexit and all of these sort of things, this highlights how good the country can be. Obviously, technically, Willian would be technically classed as a skilled migrant because he's a footballer. And, you know, there's a war on unskilled. I mean, I'm seeing people with 2 GCSEs, if that talking about unskilled people shouldn't come. How about you focus on being competent enough to work on the checkout? No disrespect to anyone, because these people can't get these jobs for the checkout, but yet they want to discriminate against everybody. But away from the political matters, he's comfortable in London. Whether he signs an extension at Chelsea is another thing. Obviously, because of the stuff I've said with Edu's agent and Kaya Jaropkin, and obviously Louise is here, and us being in London, you can invent this story of Arsenal coming to Arsenal. If Arsenal give him a 3-year deal, I think that's stupid. No disrespect to William, but if we're going to bring in a winger, I want us to get a central mid, 2 centre mids, a centre half first, and then if there's money left over and we're going to go after a real winger, that they have to be evidently better than what we have, and I don't think William is that at this moment in time. What I like about William is dead balls deliveries. I think Aubameyang would love it, but for the wages he command for a 3-year deal, it don't make no sense bringing in William. But you can make the case. Now, Jose Mourinho's formerly managed him. I mean, it means William would finally complete that medical he famously did before going to Chelsea if he went to Spurs. If I'm Spurs, I can see why it wouldn't make sense got Spurs going for him because of the wages, because of the contract. Unless Jose genuinely wants him, that's the only thing I can see tipping the balance. It would only be in William's benefit. Now, I've said Arsenal and Spurs. There's also West Ham. There's also Crystal Palace. I'm missing out of London, another London club, I'm pretty sure. But there's about, excluding the Championship, there's about what? There's 4 London clubs in the Premier League, right? Palace, us, West Ham. No, there's about 5. Well, excluding Chelsea, there's 4. So he's got 5 options, including staying at Chelsea, I guess. And yeah, man, I mean, if he can go out there and get a 3-year deal for himself, he's doing all right, really. I wanted to speak about Joe Willock. I love Joe Willock. I think he can be a decent squad player for us. If he wants to be something better than that, that's down to him. But if everything goes well, I believe here or elsewhere, he can be a good box-to-box option. He could potentially be a midfielder who's a goal-scoring midfielder and gets, you know, 10 goals or comps or something near that. I think his skill sets are driving deep with the ball. I think, and do you know what? He's a completely different player I've seen since he's exposed to the first team, because I don't feel the 10 is his role. But in the academy, I've seen him more play 10 and out wide and them sort of roles. When he got his debut under Wenger, I was shocked by how much of an appreciation he has for all aspects of the game, personally, people. And I think his thing is box to box. I think he has to compete with Guendouzi and all these players for that. I like the energy he brings into the 10 role, and obviously he could learn to he can improve his final ball and get assists and get goals and, you know, seek the ball a bit more in creative spaces. And what I mean by that is, obviously, you look at, let's say he played against Newcastle, started against Newcastle, and games against Olympiacos, where there wasn't much space early on. You need your creative player, or whoever's deemed the creative spark in the team, to go and seek the ball and get into certain positions. And I think he can be taught that, but currently he doesn't have that. I personally don't think his skill set is to do the Ozil Ceballos thing. I think it's box to box. He can obviously improve his decision making and just overall in the final third, because I think there's a lot of improvements to be made. But I back Arteta. Arteta knows more than me about football. If he says he wants to play him as a 10, I'll get behind it. Regardless of what you might think of Lundberg and Emre, clearly there's an emphasis by the club to play him in that role. And yeah, man, I mean, I think he's box to box. I think he's going to struggle in that 10 role, but I want him to come out a bit. And obviously his application was there. He did put himself around, and he had a stronger end to the game before getting subbed. But he was a bit poor, and he needs to. It's not even decision making in wrong options. I think at times he's unnecessarily greedy. But a lot of the hate I'm seeing Joe getting, I think we should retain faith in him, man, because I see him as someone being a decent player for us, man. Like I said, he can press well. He can obviously, I've already said the improvements he can make, but I think he presses well. I think he's a decent player, and he's shown it against Liverpool twice this season, in my opinion. We've lost both. And he's also, there was another game he played well in that role. Earlier in the season, for me, Joe Willock was one of the first names on the team sheet before he lost his form, sort of thing. He's only 20. I believe he can become a £20 million player minimum. And hopefully he keeps developing. And I know for a fact he is a very harsh critic of himself. I know that through speaking with people, and you'd know that if you read The Athletic, because in short, there's a couple sections. He speaks about Lundberg, texting Lundberg whether he's played for Arsenal or England, and he said he's his own harsh critic, but Lundberg gets onto him, so he knows already what he's done right and wrong in that game. But I think we should keep faith in Joe, man. For me, if he's going to play in the 10, he obviously needs to improve his goals and assists and his creating of chances and his decision making. But I think we should keep faith in him, man. Prior to the Olympiacos goal, he averaged 3.5 dribbles per game, which compared to Ozil's 1.9, he has a higher success rate. He also takes more shots, so he's more the modern. While he doesn't have the precision and stuff that Ozil and Ceballos has, clearly he's more the modern day creative midfielder we want. Dynamic, agile, quick, box to box. You see what I'm saying? Because poetry emotions has lost us, and I get it. I just think he's a camp. I just think, sorry, he plays in the pivot, like he plays instead of Xhaka or with Xhaka. Or he fights Torreira, Xhaka, Torreira, if I haven't said him already, Guendouzi, and these sort of man there for a space on the team sheet, people. I like Joe, man. I think he's a good player, man. Let's just keep faith in him. Finally, though, Saka. Now, I had the epiphany the other day. It's like, I remember Saka excelling on the left for Arsenal's 23s and 18s, and playing in a bunch of other roles. I've actually seen him play well for England at right back at youth level. But what about right wing? I don't know if he prefers to play right wing, but being left-footed, cutting in is something good. And I'm pretty sure when I was pre in 23s and he was speaking at 23s level, he said he prefers to play on the right. And he's very good on the right-hand side, people, cutting in and banging it. And if we're honest, I know that's Pepe's thing and Nelson can play there. We need Martinelli, who favours the left and didn't have the best of games on the right. We need Martinelli, Nelson, Saka, all of these guys to be equally as good on the left and the right. I'm not saying you can't have favoured positions, but what I mean by it is we can't, like we said when what game was it? Where Martinelli was on the right, Batman on the left, and obviously Laka was to accommodate Laka, he went through the middle. We can't keep saying, oh, man was playing on the right, he didn't have his best games, because look at Mane. Clearly Mane prefers that left-hand side thing for Liverpool. You think he's not going to savage man on the right-hand side? Do you get it? So we need that, people. And I always think, surely, obviously he's having to do a job at left-back, whether he wants to or not, and he's doing a terrific job. But a part of me is keen to see him play on the right-hand side. A part of me is also keen to see, especially with uncertainties over Lacazette's future, because he's contracted until 2022. I wouldn't say there's uncertainties over Eddie Nketiah's contract, but it's the same length as Lacazette, so it's the same logic. Aubameyang, I don't need to tell you about his deal. But you'd imagine that Martinelli up front, it could be you never know, it could be Martinelli up front, Saka on the left, Nelson on the right, or Martinelli on the left, Saka on the right, and another striker involved. I'm keen to see what we're going to do with them, or it could be Nelson, Saka and Martinelli, if I haven't said much already, people. I'm really keen to see that. And Pepe seems to be the most natural on that flank. There was a time I think Nelson even looked better on the left. We need everybody to play both sides, and we haven't really got a chance to see Saka on the opposite hand side playing in further forward positions. And I think on the right hand side he could be decent, because he could cut in, he'd be very unpredictable, he can take a man down the flank. And I've told you lot previously, the thing I love about Saka the most is he's got the party tricks. You see him nutmegging man, dancing past man, but for me he's effective. There's a reason when he does stuff. His playing style is simple but effective. He glides past people, smart little drops off the shoulder, very technical based player. And you've seen a lot of young players at Arsenal and elsewhere, they're probably more skillful than Saka. They can do a bag of step-overs and whatnot, but they've not got 9 assists in all comps like Saka from a full-back position. Saka keeps a cool head in the final third, and that makes the difference. And he's just consistent. I really like Saka, and obviously, like you Arsenal fans, rival fans probably hoping we don't, but like you fans, praying to God he signs the deal, man. Let's make him sign, get them lawyer people and make him sign a lifetime contract, man. Saka can never leave this club. He is going to be a flag bearer for this club along with Martinelli if everything goes to plan, and obviously players don't leave and contracts are signed. Obviously every day that goes past with every performance Saka is putting in, I'm scared like you lot, people. But I'm genuinely happy to have a young player like that. Genuinely happy to have Arteta, who's utilising all of these sort of men. Apart from obviously Maitland-Niles. I've spoken about Maitland-Niles in another video, so I won't bore you lot with it again. But yeah, I've got nothing more to speak about, so I'm gonna get out of here, people. On that note, DG, thank you for watching. I'm out.